Hey, I'm Jay Beershank. You're joining me here for another edition of book reviews. You're looking behind me at Bivio, Switzerland, up here for the weekend at a little winter or summer or holiday home of a friend of mine. Super beautiful. And today we're going to do another edition of book reviews. Matt already said that. Today is the Swiss book edition. For Christmas, my girlfriend's parents, who are Swiss, they got me some Swiss books, some famous ones. I'd asked for them, so that's super cool. They had a hard time finding translations, but they were able to find two, and I read both of them. I've never reviewed two books together before, but one of them is so short that I think it's okay, and neither of them are so insane. Sorry, I'm standing on some rocks here. Neither of them are so insane that I think they need their own particular review. Not to say they're not good, but they're criminal novels, which I haven't really read before, but that's great. There's nothing wrong with a criminal novel. Anyway, they're more of quick reads and quick, easy, fun ones. So I thought I'd review them together for the Swiss book edition in Switzerland. So the first one I'm going to go over, a bit quicker because this one's only about 150 pages. But I know this author, Suter Dürrenmatt, is super famous author in Switzerland. He's wrote a bunch of books, and I think this book came out I want to say like the 1930s. This man is dead now. 1955. So the early 1900s, mid 1900s, he was writing a lot of books. I think he wrote all criminal novels. And you know, I have to say, I will say this about both of these books. I really feel like the Europeans, the way in which they write novels is how could I say? Not inquisitive, not peering, much more piercing, if you will, in the way that they describe the people and the interactions. I feel like it also made me think of like when I read Dostoevsky, when I read Tolstoy, these great authors, these great European authors. I feel like, well, whatever, Russian's not European, but you know what I mean. I feel like they're able to communicate these really profound, intense social cues really gently and easily with just a few words, which I feel like for other authors, especially American authors, they love to use so many words, I feel like, to try to make this really beautiful picture. And it's cool, but it takes so long, you know? And that might sound silly because like in a Dostoevsky novel, for example, you have one scene, which is like 2 chapters. But all I'm trying to say is that the amount that they can pack into their words is so enticing to me. And I also really felt that way with Suter Dürrenmatt. There's it's a criminal novel about this detective that goes on this hunt for a murderer to find the murderer, basically. And the main character, forgot what his name is, he's a detective, something or not, he's described super well. And his interactions with the other characters who are less important, but still they give you a mirror to then see the main character reflected in a cool way. The way that the author describes those small little interactions are so punching. Reminds me of I did a review for The Picture of Dorian Gray. That's a classic book that has those really one-liner punchers that describe a lot in this really beautiful, concise little sliver. So this book is called The Judge and His Hangman. I read this book in the airport in like 3 hours. It's a great book. It's entertaining. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of just like reading purely for the entertainment of reading, I guess. I really try to read books that I know people have read and think are just amazing. That's really what I try to go for. Books that have been amazing for at least 100 years, and books that have some kind of a cult following, or books that have really moved a group of people, because I think, well, there must be a reason. But if you just enjoy reading just for the heck of it, this is a great book. The Judge and the Hangman by Suter Dürrenmatt. The translation I got is from Pushkin Vertigo. That's the name of the publishing house. The translator was, I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. So that's number 1. Now number 2, this book I really liked. And this author, he's still alive. He's a contemporary writer. I think he writes mostly criminal novels, but also some other stuff. And this book was really cool. Like I said, this book, The Judge and the Hangman, is a classic. I mean, most Swiss kids had to read this in school. And this book here is not necessarily one they read in school, but I think the author is getting so popular that many people have read it. I've talked to many people around here that have read it just because I thought it was good, and I think this author is pushed quite a bit. I'm not sure why, I haven't done my research on it, but anyway, this author, his name is Martin Suter, and the book is called Small World. This book was awesome. It also does an amazing job of describing the main character in such interesting, concise ways, and using the other characters as such, like I said, beautiful mirrors for, like, you know, for example, he walks into a room and the way that someone sees him and the way that it's communicated how those people see him gives you such a beautiful picture of how the guy is in his disposition. And I think that being able to display this grandiosity of someone's individuality through concise, packed sentences is so cool. And this book did a great job of that. In the beginning, I was really interested because in the beginning it describes this man, and then really halfway through I feel like the book just completely switches. So it was cool because in the beginning, you know, you got this grandiosity and you're interested, and then the main character, who's then been described in such a cool, enticing way, has a complete character switch. And then the rest of the book is about Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's is such a, you know, a wild disease for one, but such a wild perception, such a wild paradigm, right? When you get into it, there was a really good movie I just watched recently. Gosh, I wish I remember what it was called, but it was about a father that was living with his daughter and going through dementia, and how it was always like showing what was going on through the father's perception, and how he's seeing people as people from his childhood, and he's not ever sure where he is. He thinks he's in this house, but really says he's in this house, and they moved him a month ago, but he's been in this house, and he's thinking this and thinking that, and you're always seeing it from his perception. I'll try to remember the name of that movie and put it in the description below. But Small World ended up doing such a beautiful job, I thought, too, of showing us what it can be like to have this Alzheimer's paradigm. And also the way in which I feel like I feel like so many interesting books that I've reviewed are always about like aristocracy. This book is so interesting because you get to see a bit of, like, I feel like, contemporary Swissness, for example. Like, it's a lot about the Swiss aristocracy and the high Swiss finance. And, you know, it's so interesting because, like, for example, in an English book, or not an English book, but in a book from the United States with an American writer, you're not going to read about people like switching between 3 languages and, like, you know, switching from one language to another to appease this person or to be able to communicate certain things in different ways. But you really get to learn, like, a little bit about what it is to be coming from a Swiss perspective, which I think is really cool. And I think also, if you take what I said about the Europeans having this writing style that is a bit more, I think that when you read this book and when you start to think about the way in which things are described and the way in which things are viewed, it can also give you a very interesting perspective into just the difference in culture between America and Europe, or Europe and wherever you're from. Because I feel like there's so much going on underneath the surface, I guess. There's almost like so much passive aggressiveness, if you want to say, but it's not even aggressive, I guess. It's just straight passive, because most of it is not communicated. And I feel like that is something that I have also really noticed, you know, being here in Switzerland, meeting a lot of Vera's friends, who is my girlfriend. So just like, and also in all my travels, just it's interesting for me to read the books, especially from contemporary writers in other countries, just to get a little bit of a snapshot into what is normal for them and what is taboo and what is proper modes of being and proper procedures in social situations and responses to different things. So I would recommend Small World. Also a small book, 250 pages or something. I read it in a week or more. I really enjoyed it, actually. It's kind of a criminal novel as well, but I'd say that I thought that it was much less rushed than the first book, the Judge and the Hangman, which is the first one by Suter Dürrenmatt. Felt a little bit rushed to me in the end, especially. It was just like it wrapped everything up in like 20 pages, and I just kind of felt like a little bit in my face. But with the Small World, I really appreciated it. I felt like it was really good, and after page like 100, I was really actually being pulled back to the book. I have to say, like, I really wanted to go back to it, and that's a feeling that I haven't felt in a long time with a novel. So I give that book serious props for that. So that's my review of these two classic Swiss novels, one contemporary and one a bit older, from here at Bivio, Switzerland in the mountains. I hope you enjoyed. If you made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you. Stay in the light, stay in the love. Happy New Year. Peace out.